in a world that constantly preaches human rights and justice? How come some African nations have become silent receivers of criminals and unwanted human beings from other parts of the world? Why are African leaders doing this? Now, information have emerged that the United States of America have sent barbaric criminals, people who are accused of rape, gangrene, and murder to some African nations, South Sudan, Eswatini. Now, for the past few weeks, 8 of these criminals were sent to South Sudan. And just on the 16th of July, 5 of them were sent to Eswatini, a very small country. These are 2 countries that are already battling with political instability, poverty, bad healthcare, economic crisis. So why on earth is the United States sending these criminals to these countries? Now, if you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, like, and share, and click on the bell notification so that when we post a new video, you will be among the first to watch. Thank you very much, and let's get into it.
Our independence is privileged unless it links up with total liberation of the African continent.
Now, reports have emerged that the United States is conducting a third country deportation of prisoners. Some of them are described as very barbaric to some countries that are not their resident countries. And these criminals are accepted in African countries. Why are sovereign African nations accepting criminals that are not theirs, accepting deportees who are not theirs or who did not commit their crimes in their soils? Now, third country deportation isn't new. It is a tactic used when the deportees are no longer accepted or when the deportees are no longer welcome in their home countries. So the United States deploys, they either pay these African countries or pressure them to take these deportees. In this case, African countries have become a dumping ground for unwanted people. Let it sink in. Why is Africa, a continent that was exploited for labor and resources, now being exploited to be a dumping ground to house unwanted people in the world, unwanted and dangerous people in the world? This raises important and unfortunate questions about African leaders and the decisions they take. What decisions are taken behind the doors? What are those decisions based on? Are they driven by aid, political pressure, or economic incentives? And most importantly, were the people consulted? Were the people of this country consulted before these deportees were received? African leaders must come to terms that leadership is not just about shaking hands and waving flags. It's about protecting the sovereignty, the safety and dignity of your people. If our leaders can accept dangerous criminals without consulting, without the consent of the people or proper security frameworks, then what message does it send to other parts of the world? This is not about 1 or 2 countries. This is part of a bigger, darker system, a system where powerful countries offload their problems and African countries are paid to stay silent. And consequently, Africa becomes a continent of convenient solutions and not a respected sovereignty. We have seen this. We have seen a lot of these with toxic waste dumping, unfair trade deals, and now foreign prisoners. How long will it take before Africans will wake up and say enough is enough? This is not just a failure of the politicians. It is also as a result of a silent people who do not hold their leaders accountable. What kind of Africa are we building? An African that will bow to power, or Africa that will stand strong on principle and respected by other continents? If we don't question these decisions, then we will become complicit of our own disrespect. Let's wake up, let's speak up, and let's demand answers to all these decisions that these leaders take. It is not funny anymore. Eswatini is just a small country of 1.2 million people. A country that is suffering from political unrest because it is controlled by a monarch and the people are not happy. People say he lives an opulent life. People say that the king lives a luxurious life while the remaining population live in poverty. Eswatini is bedeviled with about 43% of the population suffering from HIV/AIDS. Eswatini is a country that is suffering from limited or inadequate health facility. And so why are we allowing this? Why are you accepting criminals who are convicted for rape and murder and even gang rape, to the point where their own countries are not ready to accept them. The leaders accept these criminals and keep them silently without telling anyone. If the US hadn't come out, if the US security agency hadn't come out to put this information out, we wouldn't have gotten any response from the government of Eswatini. The same thing happened in South Sudan. South Sudan received 8 of these prisoners and is not able to even tell where they are keeping them, what they are going to do with them. This is a country where the poverty, people are impoverished, people are suffering in hunger, people are dying in hunger. Why are African leaders doing this? The United States states that it is in talks with Benin, Libya, and Rwanda. Rwanda has come out to confirm that it is in talks with the United States to receive these criminals. It is also said that when the 5 African leaders, namely Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Gabon, went to meet President Trump, he discussed this issue with them. But none of these leaders have come out to agree that, yes, we have had these talks with President Trump about receiving these people. Why are we allowing our continent to become a dumping ground of unwanted people? The United States have got more resources and more equipped to keep these people. Why are they not keeping them? That they were causing so much havoc to the communities they lived in the United States. And now they have gotten rid of them. To where? To Africa. Why are we doing this? The Economic Intelligence Unit released the Global Livability Index. This Global Livability Index is based on 5 pillars: stability, healthcare, culture and environment, education and infrastructure. Most of these countries are under this list. The bottom 10 countries in this Global Livability Index, you will see Damascus, Syria. Number 2 is Tripoli, Libya. Then we have Dhaka, Bangladesh. We have Karachi, Pakistan. We have Algiers, Algeria. Lagos, Nigeria. Harare, Zimbabwe. Then we have New Guinea. We have Kiev, Ukraine. Then we have Caracas, Venezuela. So if you look at these countries I just listed here, okay, then the other countries that the United States is in talks with to send these criminals to, tell me which of these countries' situation the United States have no hand in. Just tell me which of these countries is going through a situation, or which of these countries have the United States not worsened their situation, and yet they pressure you and you receive these people in your countries. Now look at the statement that is released. The US sends 3rd country deportees to the small African kingdom of Eswatini. The United States says it has sent 5 men to the small African nation of Eswatini in an expectation of the Trump administration's 3rd country deportation program. The United States sent 5 men it described as barbaric criminals to the small African nation of Eswatini in an expansion of the Trump administration's largely secretive 3rd country deportation program. Largely secretive. So most of these countries, your country may be hosting these dangerous criminals, but you will not know. That is what this statement tells us. Your country may be hosting them, but you will not know. Now let's continue. The US Department of Homeland Security said on Tuesday, the US has already deported 8 men to another African country, South Sudan, after Supreme Court lifted restrictions on sending people to countries where they have no ties. The South Sudanese government has declined to say where these men, also described as violent criminals, are after it took custody of them nearly 2 weeks ago. In a late-night post on X, Homeland Security Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said the men sent to Eswatini, who are citizens of Vietnam, Jamaica, Cuba, Yemen, and Laos, had arrived on a plane but didn't say when or where. She said they were all convicted criminals and individuals so uniquely barbaric that their home countries refused to take them back. The men have been terrorizing American communities, but were now off the American soil, she added. She said they had been convicted of crimes including murder and child rape, and one was a confirmed gang member. See, like South Sudan, there was no immediate comment from Eswatini authorities over any deal to accept third-party deportees or what would happen to them in the country. Civil groups there raised concerns over the secrecy from a government long accused of clamping down on human rights. Why are we allowing our countries to be flooded with criminals? It is time for we Africans to rise up and speak, to rise up and say enough is enough. Look at Senegal. You just drove away French military troops and closed their camp, right? Or took over their camps, military camps. And now you are in talks with Trump to receive criminals into your country. Why would African leaders not focus on how to build their nations? How would African leaders not focus on how to develop their countries and meet the expectations of the people? Why would an African vote for a leader to go and serve a foreigner and leave the Africans in the unconcerned? Kudos to the Nigerian government for refusing these deportees. The Nigerian government refused to take prisoners from the United States who are citizens of Venezuela, and that is laudable. You cannot keep accepting these people. These are countries that are already suffering from infrastructural deficit, and now you are accepting criminals to come and live where? Why do you want them to leave? Now the government of Eswatini says that they have received these criminals and they have kept them in prisons where people who have committed similar crimes are kept. How long are they going to be there? Why would you even take them in the first place? So it is time for Africans to set up. It is time for we Africans to take our destiny into our own hands. We vote for our leaders to serve us, not to serve other people, not to serve foreign leader. So that is it. African leaders have to sit up and work on this. Please. We have to ask our leaders questions. We have to ask them questions. They must account for most of the decisions they take, if not all. They must account for, because they are accountable to us. We put them there. We choose them to lead, and they must account to us. Thank you very much for watching. Kindly subscribe, like, and share to support this movement, and I will see you in my next episode. Thank you.